Hello, everyone. This is Nicole. Your mobile blog is for toctown.com. It is such a pleasure to be back with you again, recording tips, tools, and artisan admin technique for my Planners Planet, which is the YouTube channel you are currently watching at this moment. So, pretty much after doing the July Ultimate One Book attempt, I realized I had to plan the next one if I decided to participate. But in the meantime, I wanted to go ahead and start planning my social media content at least 6 weeks in advance. And that would take a lot of patience, a lot of timing, a lot of scheduling, and a lot of testing of my current equipment. So rather than be stressful and trying to post week after week, time after time, delay after delay, I decided to go ahead and plan out my blogs pen to paper. So I had this current 9 by 12 at a glance on my On the Express channel, which features mostly travelers' notebooks, journals, as well as inserts, where I do a lot of traveling as well as writing. But this morning, I woke up wanting to go ahead and schedule out my sewing video for my Patreon, which I mentioned before. I have a patreon.com/. TOC Town, and of course, it will be linked down below. But pretty much, I realized this 2017 calendar coincides with 2023. So, pretty much, in order to support and sustain my channel, which I want to continue doing commercial free, I decided to go ahead and start sewing videos, quote unquote. I used what I had in order to create what I wanted. So, pretty much, I had all my equipment set up. I used what I already had on hand. And of course, as you see here, it had a slight hole in it, and pretty much it's been with me long enough to know I could probably use to just purchase another pair and throw this one aside. But I decided to go ahead and repair it and do a basic stitching video, because technically you don't always have to sew by machine. You can sew by hand. And in fact, that's how I started, actually mending a lot of the, not just costumes that I had for worship arts, but pretty much when I had to work day to day, buttons would fall off of my garment, as well as some seams would rip. So pretty much, instead of, dragging out a sewing machine or even asking my mom to do the work for me, I pretty much had to learn, just put the color coordinating thread through the needle and start sewing straight. As you can see as well, you have to learn how to handle the garment, not just picking a color, and matching it, but you have to sew straight into the seam. But that's another topic for another day, and I'll be glad to go over it. And what I did here was pretty much use this segment to share how do you use a seam ripper, which I'll share with you in another post if you're interested in learning. And if you haven't noticed, I'm really shocked at how people want to see sewing videos as well as other tips, tools, and artisan admin techniques that I share on my channel. Which brings me to my next point, is I have a lot of tea recipes which you can enjoy as a cold beverage as well as a warm beverage. A lot of times when I'm talking and doing my voiceovers, my voice does tend to dry out, but pretty much a lot of the recipes that I use come directly from our garden, in which, as a bonus to you, I will include as a thank you in the comment section down below. But pretty much, if you've donated at least $10 or more to my Patreon tier, then I'd be glad to share with you a few more recipes that I created in addition to this one. Now, mind you, as you see here, when you're serving it, I don't mind sometimes that the elements of what I throw into my tea end up in the actual beverage, but pretty much when I'm serving it to others, I do like to filter it. So I have, of course, this beautiful teapot. It can take warm as well as cold beverages, but pretty much I'm sharing with you here how when you make the recipe, you always want something to filter, which brings on another topic and title for artisans as well as administrators to discuss. And I'm going to discuss with you 10 topics in regards to sewing, in regards to putting your garments together, picking the colors, the size, the length, the textures, all of those elements go into picking a good garment in order to last you several years. So, pretty much, this is my next endeavor that I plan to do for the next 5 years. And of course, I do have a lot of tips, tools, and artisan admin techniques to share with you. I like to keep my topics clear and precise. So if you have any questions for me, please feel free to list them down below. You can always direct message me. But here's how the final video turned out in the end. Good Midwest morning, everyone. This is Nicole. Your mobile blog is for toctown.com. And today I am starting my National Sewing Month videos with tips, tools, and basic techniques on how to get started as well as keep going. And last but not least, finish strong. Alrighty, I wanted to share with you some of the basic things I had to realize when setting up my studio is to always keep it clean. You're always going to be moving furniture, wires, making sure if people use it as a walking space that they're not tripping over stuff. So pretty much I have to keep my desk clean as well as my filming area. So that way when I put garments on there or any other kind of planner or even some projects that I'm going to be working on in the future, I realize keeping it clean allows me to step into my studio and also start and finish quickly. Alrighty, and the next tip I have for you is to use the garments that you already have. Right here, as you can see, I'm finishing up the sewing that I've been starting at least 3 to 4 weeks ago actually, and I started by using a contrasting thread, and now to finish the garment I use, of course, the color coordinating black in order for it to be invisible, and that way the hole is not visible to the internet while I do my tapings as well as my recordings for my worship arts video, which are coming up soon enough. Right after 2024 the new year begins, I'm going to be displaying a lot of the equipment that I use as well as some of the tips, tools, and techniques that I use in order to create dance worship videos. But enough about that. The last thing I wanted to share with you is how do I store it. I basically just fold it up and put it in the drawer. That's it. So now I have something I can use in order to do my footwork as well as the lower body demonstration of when you have to do stretches, when you have to do, pointing your foot, different positions, first through fifth, and all those wonderful dance techniques that we teach at the Academy. Alrighty, if you have any questions, please list them down below. But until we meet online or face to face again, be blessed.